All right, for more on China's rate cut, I'm joined now from Los Angeles by Perry Wong. He is the Managing Director of Research at the Milken Institute. Perry, good to see you again. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
So, Perry, as we've been discussing, the People's Bank of China cut its benchmark lending and deposit rates by 0.25% or 25 basis points. Does this move highlight how concerned the Chinese authorities about the slowdown in the economy? What triggered this third cut in 6 months?
I think it's a big concern, but I would think that at least part of the reasons for the interest rate cuts is part of the coordinated policy from People's Bank of China to deepening the financial market reform. I have to believe that with the rate cuts and the reduction on the requirement for a reserve, I think in concert to change the capital market. And in this particular case, I think narrowing the margin on deposit and lending rate, it gives the banks and actually the market in general to find a market-based practice for lending. So I see it as partly an answer to the slowing economies and partly part of the policy reform that in place the government has in mind. So in that sense, it's almost a one stone kills two birds.
Right, all right, a dual-prong approach, if you will. Now, Perry, we have seen the Chinese stock markets rally on these moves by the PBOC, but have the other rate cuts yielded any positive results, any tangible results so far for the real economy? Have they been effective?
I think if you look at how well that jive the growth in GDP, that probably the evidence is not there. But if you look at the lending or the cost of capital, it has come down in each succession rate cuts. So in that sense, it matches up with the expectations that with the sales number growth numbers coming down and the costs have to pare down. So in that sense, it's evidence to show that the market actually take those rate cuts and lower the lending cost. That's a good news.
All right, well, others would say the good news has been the reaction of the Shanghai Composite. It was up 3% today. It's up over 34% year to date. Perry, in the short run, what will be the impact of these cuts on China's stock markets? Do you see this rally continuing?
If you listen to economists on the stock market price, most likely I will borrow Chairman Yellen's line as a little bit overpriced. But anyhow, I think in the realm of the corporate world, I think with the more robust capital markets or equity market, in this case, it probably would help some of the enterprise to transition what they do. And I think with abundant capital, they might actually find different model to operate in this new normal. And I see this as a very positive sign.
All right, well, the PBOC says that the cut mainly aims to reduce borrowing costs for households and for businesses, to boost consumption and the real economy. What should the People's Bank of China do to make sure that that liquidity is channeled in the right direction, is channeled to the real economy, specifically to SMEs?
I think bank in general is not a very good mechanic to channel capital to small to medium-sized enterprises. I think that probably will be a secondary effect. However, I think because the rate sets, the benchmark interest rate sets, the hope is that it would help the capital market in general to reset the interest rate or cost. So other financial instruments hopefully can help the markets. But it's not that direct, unfortunately.
But which industries do you think will see the most immediate impact from this rate cut?
I think the most immediate impact probably will be the construction and housing markets. I think largely, if you want to look for one evidence that the interest rate cuts help, that would be stabilizing on some of the markets or on housing constructions and also sales. So that's a big help. Now, also, I think I would like to mention that with the lower rates, perhaps the consumer can borrow money for some of the short-term financing on big item purchases. But I think that's not a big practice in China yet.
All right, Perry, the People's Bank of China said very clearly there is no need to use quantitative easing or QE to boost liquidity. Quantitative easing, as we saw it in the US, is aggressive bond buying combined with near zero interest rates. Do you agree that a QE type of program is not right for China right now?
I don't think it's right. I don't think the Chinese economy has gone to that point that needs a massive quantity of capital to flood the market. I believe that capital is abundant. I think still the key point is how to channel those capital into where the growth area needs the most. I think if you recall, in the past 6 months or 9 months, there are a lot of enterprises or small enterprises springing up. Now, the question to the policymaker and also bankers in China is how to channel those capital into those small enterprises. And banks usually are not very good in putting capitals into those entities. So got to be in conjunction of something else.
All right, well, we'll wait and see what's next in their toolkit, in their arsenal of stimulus, if it should be needed. Thank you so much for your insight. Perry Wong, Managing Director of Research